Okay, first, take that plot that's been brewing in your head for the past week and just go and throw it in the garbage. Especially for the first session, because you don't even know what setting you're going to be playing in.
Wait, what?
That's right. Dungeon World is all about telling a story that's created organically at the table with the players. And the setting is a part of a story. So, not to be a gatekeeper, but totally being a gatekeeper, if you want the true Dungeon World experience, you're going to be playing in a homebrew world that you create with your players.
Wait, I've had like the same homebrew world for the past like 15 years. I'm gonna have to get rid of that?
Not necessarily. You just need to leave enough blanks in the world for your players to fill in. You can do what I did, which is set your game in an unexplored region of your world so you can create the starting town with your players. And if your world has like a fallen elvish empire or something like that, like you haven't written the downfall of that empire, let your elvish players come up with that. All right. That's the end of the written script. Of course, you should still have a rough idea of what to do in your head so your players have something to do in that first session. Just because the players help come up with the setting and important NPCs doesn't mean that they're omniscient.
Keep your secrets.
For example, in my game, I wanted wyverns to attack the players in a cart when they first started, and I thought that an unexplored dragon keep sounded really freaking cool. If you want to know more about either of those things, you click right here. Okay, number 2. The zero session is incredibly important in this game, obviously. This is, of course, not only where your players come up with their characters, but where you guys come up with the setting. Like I said, you are playing in a homebrew world that you and your players come up with. You do all of that in the zero session. While it tends to work better if you do have a planned event zero session, if you are pressed for time, you can do all of this in like a group text or a Discord channel. But what's important is that you are asking your players lots of questions. Ask your players questions about their characters like you would ask someone questions on a first date.
So tell me a little bit about Seamus.
Yeah, well, you know, he really likes the long walks on the beach.
Wait, didn't you say that he's a dwarf from like the middle of a mountain? They're lava beaches. Duh.
Oh.
Yeah, and you know, when he's not taking long walks on lava beaches, he's a big fan of drinking dwarven stouts, writing erotic sea shanties, and playing badminton.
I didn't know that dwarves had badminton.
They do actually, it's their national sport.
Anytime a player leaves the door open about something that could be related to the setting, ask them questions about it. For example, if player Austin says that Seamus is from a dwarven city in the mountains, DM Austin should be asking him questions like, what's that city called? What's life like there?
Who lives in Bronze Hollow?
Why did you leave? And of course, feel free to ask them questions about the starting town. What's the town called? Who lives there? What's its deal? Asking these questions and your players' responses will plant the seeds that you need to make a really cool homebrew world that your players are going to love because they had such a significant part in it. And you can only do that with a zero sesh. Or a group text, but it works better in a zero sesh. Number 3, running this game requires a ton of improv from you, the GM.
Who's the only pro wrestler to ever beat The Rock? The paper.
Like way more so than other games in the genre, especially the first session. Now, obviously not everyone is naturally great at improv, but don't feel shitty about it. Improv is a skill and skills can be developed and you can get better at them. A great exercise that I like to do before my Dungeon World sessions is to free write in a journal. I commit to writing at least one full page in this little notebook that I have before every single one of my sessions. I write it by hand and I don't edit anything that I write. I just let the ideas come onto the page and just free write whatever comes to mind. For me, this warms up my brain into thinking creatively, which then translates to the actual game. And number 4, make sure you're having fun with it. I know this is corny as but it's the truth. You are playing this game to have fun with your friends, or strangers that you meet on the internet who then become your friends. And if you're anything like me, whenever you're running any RPG system, you're probably thinking, oh my god, this is so bad, this is shit, everything is shit, I'm shit. Nobody's having fun with this. They're just politely here, and this is awful. But 9 times out of 10, your players are going to have a blast alongside you. And that's true of every single RPG system, but that's even more so in Dungeon World because your players have so much input. They came up with the setting alongside with you. They came up with important NPCs alongside with you, and they are discovering the story with you. it makes it this super awesome collaborative experience that I find you don't often get in other RPGs, where you're like, oh, just wait until chapter 10 in Curse of Strahd. You have no idea what's gonna happen in your dungeon world if you're following it by the rules, and so it's this sense of discovery and exploration that you get to experience with your players. Now, if you got to the end of this video and you're like, all of that sounds really cool, but I really like rules and crunch, then I highly recommend clicking right here. And you can actually see 3 rules from Dungeon World that you can import into whatever game system you're playing. Thanks for watching.